Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Clayton, and so you think you may have hypochondria. Today I'm going to go ahead and list 10 reasons on why you may be suffering from health anxiety. So before we get in today's list, I got a question. Have you subscribed to this channel? This channel is all about creating content for mental health awareness and helping people out that suffer with panic attacks, anxiety, depression, social anxiety, all different sorts of things. And if you like the content, please go ahead and turn that notification bell on. You'll get videos every single time I upload. And if you have not already, smash that like button. It'll help the channel out tremendously. So I'm going to begin with number one, which would be checking yourself, checking your temperature, checking your weight, checking for different things on your skin, anything of that nature. You wake up in the morning and you always have to self-examine and make sure that everything's okay and nothing's out of place. While it's important to know your weight, your height, your temperature, that stuff's all important, but when you overdo it, when you do it every day, that does point to a sign of hypochondria, health anxiety, and I think that it would be best to not do those things. Work with your therapist to get a good treatment plan going for you. I know a lot of people with COVID anxiety were checking their temperatures every single day, including yours truly. But in the long run, those things are actually controlling you, controlling your life. So I'm not saying never do these things, never check your weight or anything like that. I want you to do that stuff, but do it in moderation, do it in a healthy manner. Leave the diagnosing to your doctor. So number two would be simple problems going bad. This is more typical for somebody with health anxiety because when they have a stomach pain, they will automatically assume that it's some type of stomach cancer, or if they have a bloody nose, they might fear high blood pressure, or if they have congestion and they're probably not breathing right, so they think they have a terrible shortness of breath. So for most people, these problems seem pretty simple, such as getting up really fast and then you get dizzy. To a hypochondriac, that would be like the end of the world. So if you do this and you turn simple problems into deadly problems and you always assume the worst case scenario for everything, for every symptom that you have, I promise that is a sign of hypochondria, and I think that you would need to get help and get checked out for that one as well. Number three, going to the ER constantly, going to your doctor constantly, having all these tests run, having all these things done to you, the blood works, the chest x-rays, the MRI scans, the CT scan. Personally, this one really hits home because I've been to the ER 17 times and told every single time I went that it was just anxiety. I had nothing to worry about. All my tests came out normal. It was still hard for me to believe, it still is today, that I'm normal, I'm completely okay. A lot of people get in the habit to where if they have a panic attack, they go and see a doctor, and then they don't believe that the doctor made the correct diagnosis, and they think that something's wrong with them because the panic attack and the anxiety symptoms, they're so real and they feel so awful that it just can't be anxiety, it just can't be, but it is. Number four, if you flip that, it's gonna be avoiding the doctor, avoiding the hospital, avoiding getting your test done if you haven't gotten any. Now, I know this can be very difficult, but it is important to get checked at the very first time. But after you've been checked, you're good. The doctor knows what's best, and you should just trust the doctor. So when it comes to finding a doctor, I suggest that you find one that will understand what you're going through, will understand your white coat syndrome, where you go in and triage, and you go in, you get your blood pressure taken, and you get your heart rate measured. It's going to be a little high. Now, if you have a doctor that understands that, he knows his approach to you. You want a doctor that understands anxiety, that understands panic disorders, and he can kind of reassure you of some things you may be worried about. Number five, you focus on one specific disease, but it comes in phases. So one week you might be worried about your heart flutters, and then the next week you're worried about cancer, and then the next week you're worried about diabetes, and then the next, just keeps going on and on and on. And if you have hypochondria or health anxiety, you're going to start to feel these symptoms of that disease every single phase. So what your brain's doing actually is trying to convince you that you have this heart problem, that you have these diabetes, you have this liver issue, you have this kidney issue. In reality, you have been tested and you're all checked out, but you're still worrying. And one of the worst things about hypochondria is when you focus on one disease and you focus on, hey, I have a heart problem, you're going to start getting heart palpitations, you're going to start getting short of breath, you're going to start getting so many heart symptoms. And then when you switch, if you have diabetes, you're going to start being like, oh my gosh, why am I peeing so much? Why does my stomach hurt? Why do I feel nausea? Why do I feel all this? So if you're focusing on having a certain disease, you can see why that would give you health anxiety and hypochondria. Number 6, not believing the test that the doctors have confirmed. This one's really big because when the doctors run a test on you, they went to medical school. They know what they're doing. So if you go in there and complain of heart palpitations, they're going to run an EKG. They might run an echo. They might run even a stress test. Those tests tell a lot about you, about your heart, about your body. They tell the doctors everything that they need to know in order to properly diagnose you. Quit playing doctor. They have been to school. You haven't. They know the tests that you need. You don't. Just trust them and trust the test. Number 7, really big one, my family. I've drove my family nuts with this, and this is reassurance seeking. I'm constantly seeking for reassurance from other people. Hey, and I'm not gonna, die anytime soon, right? Do you promise? Do you swear that I'm not gonna die? Do you pinky swear? It might feel good temporarily where they give you some reassurance like, no, you're not gonna die, but that never lasts fully, because then you start worrying about something else. And it becomes exhausting, not only for you, but for your family, for your friends. They get tired of hearing about your health because that's all you talk about. Personally, I'm guilty about being sneaky, about being kind of subtle in my approaches of getting reassurance, because I know that it might annoy them, so I just want to be like, well, I was having these flutters the other day, and when they don't say what I want them to hear, it's a terrible feeling, and when they do, I feel good for a brief moment, but then it's back to worrying about something else. So your family and friends are not your doctor, they're not your therapist, so I suggest that you keep the reassurance to the doctor and to your therapist. That's it. Number 8 would be checking your vitals. This one was a really, really big part in my life. I would check my blood pressure, I would check my oxygen saturation. Before I had the Fitbit, I would, count my pulse 15 times 4 all the time. It would consume my life, checking my vitals consistently. Now, like I said, it's important to check these things. It's important to let your doctor know what your vitals are. But when you start doing it to the point it's controlling your life, that might be a sign of hypochondria. In fact, not might be, it is a sign of hypochondria if you are just consistently checking your vitals and you're obsessed with it. So stop checking your vitals so much. Number 9, Googling symptoms. Everybody's been to Dr. Google. There's memes about it on the internet. You type in headache, brain tumor. You type in shortness of breath, heart attack. You type in stomach pain. You have ulcers. I mean, this thing is just so ridiculous. The problem with Google is that it wants to make sure that you're aware of the most terrible diseases before you actually get to the real thing. I can't tell you how many panic attacks I've had from Google. It's been Google's fault. You type in anything, you're going to die. And it's just a terrible place to get your information from. So I'm just kidding. Stop Googling your symptoms, because they don't have no filter where you can say, hey, I have anxiety. So Google, can you take it easy on me and just, don't give me any deadly diseases. Give me something like, hey, you have a migraine. Number 10, fear of death. Not everybody's gonna die at some point, but not everybody worries about dying. There's actually a great quote about this. The fear of death is actually the death of life, because you just don't live life to the full potential. You don't go skydiving, you don't go on roller coasters, you don't go on airplanes, you don't go and drive in cars. I mean, some of them are that severe. But this fear in particular is about your health. You fear that you're going to have a heart attack. You fear that you're going to have a stroke. You fear that you're going to have some weird disease like supraventricular tachycardia. You fear these weird things. You fear that these health conditions that you have are actually going to hurt you, do you harm, and are life-threatening. But anxiety is not life-threatening. Panic attacks will not kill you. You are completely fine if you've been checked out by a doctor and they say you're okay. There's no need to worry. Follow these steps. I hope this video brought a lot of people reassurance and that they can walk away from this knowing, hey, this guy might be right. I might have hypochondria. I might have this disease. I see a pattern here. Knowledge is power, everybody, and I hope you took away something from this video. That's why I make these. I appreciate you staying to the end, watching it, and thank you so much. Don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Guys, I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.